Dixie where the rivers meet the land. There's a whisper on the wind, a call to take a stand. We're rolling out of town with our boots up on the floor, searching for the freedom that we've been longing for. We're riding on the open road with the stars as a guide, restoring pride in America with every mile we ride. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans wide with foam, we're saving America, bringing freedom back home. Got my guitar in the back and a flag flying high. We're singing songs of glory under the big old sky. From the south to the north, from the east to the west, we're on a mission to put our nation to the test. We're riding on the open road with the stars as a guide, restoring pride in America with every mile we ride. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans wide with foam, we're saving America, bringing freedom back home. There's a fire in our hearts, a flame that won't die. We're the sons and daughters of the red, white, and sky. With every mile we travel, with our boots up on the floor, we're healing the land and making freedom ring. We've seen the cities, we've felt the country's pain, but we're not giving up, we've got so much to gain. With our hands on the wheel and our eyes on the prize, we're gonna lift this nation back to the skies. And we're riding on the open road with the stars as a guide, restoring pride in America with every mile we ride. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans wide with foam, we're saving America, bringing freedom back home. So here's to the journey, here's to the fight, for the land of the free and the home of the light. With our boots on the ground and our hearts in the sky, we'll keep on rolling till freedom never dies. To the journey, here's to the fight, for the land of the free and the home of the light. With our boots on the ground and our hearts in the sky, we'll keep on rolling till freedom never dies. We're riding on the open road with the stars as a guide, restoring pride in America with every mile we ride. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans wide with foam, we're saving America, bringing freedom back home. We're healing never dies, we're healing never dies.
Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Howdy. Are you a capitulator? Do you like to bend the knee? Or do you have self-respect? Some people like to quit at the first sign of trouble, pack it in and surrender. Other people stand up for freedom. Tonight, we'll highlight some of the winners and some of the losers in the self-respect game. Stick with me. More coming up right after this.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on Earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV,
the entire world is watching.
On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
Okay, we'll talk about the trade war. We'll talk about the war in Ukraine. We'll talk about the unrest in Georgia. We'll talk about all the, half the world on fire tonight, while the rest of the world sits soaked in kerosene or worse, ready to go up in flames. We'll get to all that. But we have to talk about the drones first, because it's a drone attack. It's like they're everywhere. What are they? I don't know. I don't know what they are. The Pentagon doesn't know. The FBI doesn't know. Local law enforcement doesn't know. Even when we have a drone crash in someone's backyard in New Jersey, we still don't know. A drone actually fell out of the sky and crashed into a New Jersey homeowner's backyard overnight. And the mayor in that town even went to the scene to take a look himself. So this aircraft smashed down in a residential area of Pequannock Township in Morris County around 8:45 p.m. last night. And it set off a flurry of activity. All the first responders went down there, and officials determined that the craft was, well, I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to show you some footage of what happened there, and I'm going to bring you one of the local news outlets has a report for us here tonight. So let's take that from the top, shall we? Here we go. Developing story. Breaking news. Mystery drone crashes and panic ensues.
A major response from authorities that could be related to an incident involving a drone. This is happening in Hillsborough, New Jersey. Fox 5's Stephanie Bertini is live from that scene. Stephanie, obviously so much frustration about what is even happening in the skies above us, so this might be a big answer.
Yeah, Bianca, I talked to several people who tell us they heard a drone crash somewhere behind where I'm standing. We're working to get that information confirmed with officials. Our chopper has been flying over the area this morning. Here's some video. We're showing you that view from above. We're in a shopping plaza in Hillsborough, just off Route 206. First responders have been here all morning, including Hillsborough police, a lot of onlookers. I talked to one woman who says her concerns are growing, calling all the recent drone activity very bizarre. She says she heard the drone crash happened overnight here, but she says that she's seen several, what she believes are drones anyway, flying around her home. She says she lives not too far from where we're live right now. Now, we've reported on these drone concerns in New Jersey. Some experts have said the sightings could very well be lawfully manned aircrafts today. We're hearing from officials on Staten Island about the same topic. Take a listen.
There's a saying that we had after 9/11, if you see something, say something. I think that's become, if you see something, don't worry about it, because we saw it too. And the people of Staten Island deserve answers. The people of this city and state and region deserve answers of what the heck is going on.
So we've heard from the FBI, and the FBI says there's no reason to believe that these recent possible drone sightings pose a national security threat. Now, in terms of what we're getting from local officials, we're being told we're going to get an update this afternoon at some point, Bianca, in terms of what they've been looking at here. Back to you inside.
God, so
and we just don't know what the heck these things are. I don't know. It's very scary stuff. I'm so scared. What are we gonna do? I don't know. So anyway, it's a hobbyist's drone. That's what it was. It went down, and of course everybody's freaking out. Yeah, if there's a good time to freak out, it's right now. Everyone panic. There was actually also, this happened in Westchester, New York. All this craziness about the drones, and over on I-684 near Westchester, New York, it was an airplane crash. One person killed in this incident. Let me show you the video. Here we go. So this just adds another layer to the whole drone mystery. Related, unrelated, plane goes down on the highway. We've seen this kind of thing before. In fact, there was another one, I can't remember exactly where, just 2 days ago or 3 days ago. Plane came down on a highway. It does happen. But everybody, of course, is very focused on this. That's the thing about this kind of news story and the news cycle that comes from it. People get fixated. They get very focused on this stuff, right? And then it leads to more reports of things. That's why John Kirby from the White House the other day said that a lot of these sightings, it appears, are actually just people seeing airplanes in the sky, and they think they're drones, but they're just planes being piloted, flying overhead at night with blinking lights, or in some cases they are drones. And in other cases, we just don't know what the heck they are, and we're seeing all kinds of crazy stuff up there, unexplainable things. And tonight, there's, because of, I think, the frenzy that we're getting from all this, we're getting more and more videos posted online. That's another reason there's more mania around it. Everybody has a camera. Everything that happens out there is now, everybody has a camera at the ready on their phone, and then they post straight to social media. That creates more and more volume of media material that people are exposed to, that escalates, inflates, amplifies, even distorts perspectives a little bit, because people become very focused on a particular subject, and a lot of stuff is posted that might not even be accurate, or maybe out of context, or people don't understand what it is. And here's a pilot. This is Oregon skies just got weird, is the post on this one. It says pilots are scratching their heads over colorful lights zipping around at 50,000 feet, pulling moves no conventional aircraft can. And then it says this pilot in this recording talks about what he saw or is seeing associated with this video. So here, let me show you. And let me play the audio for you too, if I can. I think we've got it. There we go. UFO.
Red in color, moving at extreme speeds. I don't even know how to describe how fast he's moving.
You are cleared to maneuver as necessary, left and right, to avoid the UFO out there.
This is Joe communicating with air traffic control while he was piloting that live flight call to the North Bend, Coos Bay area. And the UFO in question, if you look closely on your screen, that little red dot that floats in and out of the video.
That was the one that was at our altitude that would come up to us and sit for about 3 to 5 seconds, and then it would go back out over the ocean, over the horizon.
He and his crew witnessed this mysterious object continue this odd behavior for more than 20 miles away for about 20 minutes total. This came after a United Airlines flight reported seeing similar mysterious objects zipping through the sky, ranging between 30,000 and 50,000 feet in altitude.
We're seeing 3 or 4 targets. They're all altitudes, up and down. It's pretty crazy.
One researcher suggests it's a light bouncing off a Starlink satellite over the Pacific Ocean, catching the eye of pilots, something that's reportedly happened before. But Joe says this ain't that.
I don't think Starlink, like I said, satellites don't typically change directions. But then again, I could be wrong, but I honestly don't think it was. I've never seen a satellite move like that.
I reached out to the Federal Aviation Administration to see if they can confirm this UFO sighting. They kept it short and sweet, saying a pilot saw unidentified lights. The good news is it's not believed Joe or his crew were in any danger as they continue to fly down to Coos Bay and back up to their station in Aurora. But the mysterious object popped up on his traffic collision avoidance system. He says that's not something that a light reflection can do.
TCAS works off a transponder code. So for something to register, it was registering like an aircraft. So the weird thing is we were seeing it as an aircraft inside the aircraft, but ATC wasn't showing it on their radar.
Whatever it was, Joe and many others hope they can get clear answers. Reporting in Eugene, I'm Aaron Ariano.
Oh, is it serious, or am I not taking it seriously enough? Oh. What do you think? What do you think? Anybody in the chat have anything to say about this? I've got more. There's lots tonight on the UFO file. Anybody? Hey, Choosy, how you doing there tonight, Choosy? He says we're getting Mandela effect from the White House. What does that? I don't know what that means. Okay. OBS Rick. There's multiple already published YouTube reports of drones being flown at hundreds, not thousands of feet. Okay. And Choosy says, what's the FBI doing investigating drone stuff if they don't have the answer? Then they just need to shut up. I agree. Yes. Although, I think they're sort of responding because so many people are freaking out over the drones. And when you have one person freak out, it's contagious. One freak out leads to other freakouts, and then you have an exponential chain reaction domino freakout effect. You talk about the Mandela effect, I'm talking about the drone freakout. That's what we're getting, Choosy. That is what we're getting. And no wonder. Look at all the lights in the sky over New Jersey. Look at these ones. Aren't they pretty? Maybe it's just God's way of saying Merry Christmas. I don't know. What do you think? What are those things? Are they aeroplanes or aliens? I don't know. It's lights in the sky. Am I afraid? I'm very afraid. I'm afraid people are going to lose their minds. Could be airplanes. Could be drones. What are they? You know, just because there's a light in the sky doesn't mean we're being invaded. Then again, nee. What is that? What's that? What is it? Okay, it's definitely time to freak out. This should be a Truspiracies episode. Yeah, that's what it should be. I admit it is pretty weird. And then we've got this one. Did we show you this one yesterday? I think this is actually video from yesterday. There it is. Nee, 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 nee. Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Wah, 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 wah. E.T., call home. Whatever. This is the lead story tonight. I can't believe we're doing this. Unbelievable. I can't believe this is happening to me, to us, to humans. Wow. Wow. So basically, yes, Twitter is now full of politics, getting people upset, sexy girls who are trying to build social media channels, and drones being laid out for us as probable aliens. First contact. So here's another post. This one says, probably the closest drone sighting that this person has seen in New Jersey, taken overnight in Neptune, New Jersey. It appears to be pretty clear footage, but again, not quite clear enough. What is it? What is this in the skies above us? I don't know. Airplane, Chinese weather balloon, Best Buy drone. Looks very much like a stealthy aircraft. But you know, the problem when you're shooting stuff like this, it's hard to know how large something is because it's in the sky. And if you don't have something of scale next to it, so you understand, to have like proper perspective, you can't really tell. Because you can make like a model airplane flying through the air look like the real thing when it's in the air. You don't have anything else next to it, and distance from things too can make things look bigger than they are in videography. It's hard to tell what it is. I can't tell if that's a small thing or a large thing. It could be a large thing far away or a small thing closer. Any thoughts in the chat on what that is? Pooh Bear says, well, you know, drones are now delivering food orders. That's true. It could be Uber Eats making an aerial delivery. And, oh, yeah, Choosy. He says that people are now talking about delivering trick-or-treats over Halloween. Yeah, I didn't see any trick-or-treaters this year. And in fact, Choosy says, and in fact, this year or last year, and in fact, I wouldn't because my drapes are closed. Yeah, I don't think we got many kids here this year either. It's not like it used to be. But that's another story for another day, like next year, next October. I don't know if we'll ever get back to Halloween the way that it was. Here's another drone sighting for you tonight. It's Friday the 13th. It's only appropriate, wouldn't you say? Here, let's show you. Here we go. This guy here, if this is authentic, not happy about drones flying over his home. No, he's a take matters into your own hands kind of guy. Whoever this is. I don't know where this is. I don't know what this is. It's just posted. And since everything else is being posted, we might as well show this too. I don't recommend anyone do anything like this. You don't know what that is. Somebody could get hurt. Don't do that. What's he shooting anyway? What are those? He's not a very good shot. You got to shoot ahead of it. I don't think he has enough range anyway. It's just... Yeah, I think that guy is... What? What's he doing? Oh, yeah. He's freaking out. Jesus. Oh, my God. What is going on in this world? What has happened? Maybe when I was younger, things just seemed more normal, because maybe I just grew up more sheltered than I thought. Maybe the world was this insane all along, and I just never realized it. I don't know. Here's John Kirby again, not in the White House news conference of the day, but being interviewed on Fox News, and he says that the federal government is really not ready to start shooting things down like that guy is. Here we go.
Do you know and you can't say? Can you tell me that?
No, I'm telling you, Martha, I'm telling you, we don't know. We can't corroborate every single sighting. Some of them we have, not all of them, and we're working hard to do that. We know people are afraid of it. We know people have concerns. We have those same concerns.
Yeah, because they're flying over your house, and it sounds like there are motorcycles landing on your roof. Let me ask you this.
Or reindeer.
One, person who watched this online said they think it's a Aerodynamics Transwing Drone XP4, which is being developed by the U.S. Navy as a recon and logistics drone capable of picking up and dropping off packages between land and moving ships in high seas and winds. They're suggesting it's an American company. We asked the company. They said we can't speculate on the origin of the drones that are flying over New Jersey. So is that an avenue that has been inspected? Is this a private company that is practicing something? And wouldn't they have to clear something with somebody to have this kind of activity?
It could very well be, as I said, these could be commercially developed drones of some kind.
Why not just take one down and figure out what's going on?
Crashed.
The idea of taking something down, again, you want to worry about public safety. First of all, we don't have enough conclusions to take that kind of a policy action. But let's just assume for a minute, Martha, that we did. I mean, you're not going to want to shoot something down where it could hit somebody's house or hurt somebody.
Well, the Coast Guard says that there are 30 of them following one of their ships in the ocean. So would that work?
I mean, again, we have to develop the policy options based on what we know we're dealing with here, and we just don't know enough to make those to take those kinds of actions. But my goodness, we're going to do everything we can to find out, and we're going to share as much as we can. I understand it's frustrating for folks. Yeah. It's frustrating for us. We want to know as well.
What does President Biden say about it?
He also has tasked the team to look into this and to be energetic in doing it, to try to get answers. He saw some of these images yesterday. He has talked to his team, including his top leaders, including at the Defense Department. And
have you called in like AI experts or said, like, why don't we ask Elon Musk what he thinks, or brought in outside experts?
We're working really hard right now inside in the interagency, and certainly supporting the FBI and DHS as they investigate this. And if we need to have additional conversations with people outside the lifelines, we certainly will do that. But I want to make sure I don't get ahead of the investigators and what they're doing.
It just seems weird. I mean, people, they're low. They fly fairly low, some of these. It just, I think, is amazing that the White House has no idea what's going on. I think that makes people feel really unsettled. In New Jersey, they sent out an intelligence bulletin, I should say, issued in December of 2024 with recommendations for encountering downed UAVs. And it says a downed or landed drone should not be approached. It says request hazardous materials response unit or local hazmat team. And then it says request the nearest bomb squad Do you agree with those recommendations? If one of these things comes into someone's house or lands in their yard, or they have to deal with it?
Yeah, look, I haven't seen that directive, but all that makes perfect sense to me as a former military person. If something like an aircraft of any kind lands in your backyard or close to you or your family, call the authorities. Don't approach it. You don't know what it is, and you don't know what kind of fuel might be on board. You absolutely should just call the authorities. Make sure you report it. Don't go near it. Don't touch it. You don't want to get hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like, look over there. I think I'll go over and pick up that drone with the cylindrical object attached to the bottom. What is that? Yeah, good idea. Stay away. Don't do that. Very good idea. Yeah, Pooh Bear says War of the Worlds. Yeah, no kidding. I mean, I'm laughing about it. I guess it's serious, but I don't know. The thing is, these things, I think in this case there is a degree of hysteria that is now accompanying the legitimate concerns, and I think that it's also being fueled by some posts on social media that are fabrications, exaggerations, misrepresentations, mistaken identity of aircraft that are just airplanes at night and lights in the sky. It could be anything now. Any light in the sky now is going to prompt a panic attack and phone calls to the authorities. That is obvious. That's part of what is going on. Not to say that it shouldn't be taken seriously. It should be, but but of course, all these sci-fi movies I think there's more truth to them than I realized, because, and in this sense, whenever the aliens come, people are always thinking that we'll be friends or we'll communicate or whatever. But then in the movies, of course, the first thing the humans do to the aliens that show up is we want to blow them away, right? We want to shoot them and kill them and dismember them and gut them and send them all back to the asteroid they came from in bits and pieces. And that's exactly what people want to do with these drones. It's like, well, just shoot it down, whatever it is. Yeah, it's some guy in his Cessna flying overhead, and you want to send some guy in a F-16 over and put a missile up his exhaust tube. Like, I mean, what, you don't know what it is, so shoot it down. Too bad for the guy flying it, and too bad for the guy below that has the thing land on his house. I'm with John Kirby on that one. A little bit of restraint, I think, is called for here. Caution. Make sure you know what you're dealing with before you take action. If there's an imminent threat, then you shoot the damn thing down. But until then, I don't know. I just don't know. Do you know? Does anybody really know? Maybe the government knows. Maybe they don't. But look, we had one crash. That's just a regular drone. And there are a lot of drones up in the air. There are just a lot of drones. People are buying these things every day. But why are they all? I don't know. There probably are more things flying around up there than there were before. Well, there definitely are. But is it a danger? I don't know. All we can do is, I don't know, freak out.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching.
The world is watching. On TV.
The entire world is watching.
On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
Two different approaches. Approach one, well, three different approaches, really. Approach number one, deal with Donald Trump in a way where you stroke him, stroke his ego, kind of compliment him to make him feel good about himself, I guess. When he insults you or your people, mocks your sovereignty, and threatens to impose a 25% tariff across the board on, do people even understand what that means? A 25% tariff on all goods being exported from Canada to the United States. You know what that means? It means every single thing, he's saying, that Canada produces and ships to the United States would then be subject to a 25% import tax on the U.S. side, which would make everything from Canada, crazy expensive, and people would not buy it or wouldn't be able to afford to buy it. And so they would be buying it from some other place. But I don't know what the point is. It seems like he's imposing tariffs on everybody. So I guess he's just going to inflate the prices out of everything. So option one, stroke his ego, kind of give him what he wants. He's trying to tie this to border security, and fair enough. And Danielle Smith, the premier of Alberta, is, taking steps to address that with more border security coming from, I guess, the provincial government, even though I think border security is mainly a federal responsibility in Canada, not quite so much a provincial responsibility. Nevertheless, this is approach one. Approach two is tell Donald Trump that you're not going to take his crap and call his bluff. That's Doug Ford, Ontario Premier. And what would option three be? Oh yeah, option three would be just bend over and take it. So those would be the capitulators, the faux freedom fighters who say they stand for Canada when in fact they just like to take it up the keister. I can't believe it. As long as it's Donald Trump doing it, though, then it's okay. And I know because people idolize the guy, but it's gone a little too far, even for me. Okay. Not necessary. But hey, some people seem to like it when he does it to them, when he's doing it to us. Anyway, here's Daniel. Let's get Daniel Smith on this first. Doug Ford doubled down on his approach today, which is to basically tell Trump, you try it, and you'll find out. You'll find out, Mr. Trump. Well, here's Daniel Smith, who has said, as Premier of Alberta, oil-rich province, that no way they're shutting off energy supplies the way Ontario Premier Doug Ford is threatening in the event that Trump follows through with this threat to impose massive tariffs on Canada. Here's Daniel Smith here today on Power Play. CTV.
Is there any danger in overstating what is happening at the border? I look more closely at, for example, the Canadian border, in particular with Montana, where there were, in the fiscal year 2024, 3 pounds of fentanyl collected. That's according to U.S. Customs and Border Protection data. There's thousands of pounds at the southern border. Illegal migration, very much so an increasing problem in the first half of last year, but on the decrease substantially, again, according to U.S. data, down 60% in the last 4 months. Is there a danger in you sort of underscoring the narrative that Trump has put out there that there are these major issues at the border if in fact they don't exist?
Well, the fact that we haven't apprehended enough of the cross-border products, whether it's fentanyl coming out of Canada or whether it's the precursor agents coming in, I think that should be alarming to all of us. We know we've got an opioid crisis. We know that we have the highest level of opioid deaths that we've ever seen happening in both British Columbia and Alberta. And we know that the American cities are suffering from the same scourge. And so I think that we've got to do our part to make sure that we're addressing the issue. We're apprehending the criminals. We're stopping the movement of drugs. We're shutting down drug houses and labs. And I think that benefits both of us. So I've been concerned about fentanyl and opioid overdoses ever since I became premier. It doesn't stop being an issue. Because it's a joint issue with the Americans. It actually just allows for us to say, yeah, we agree, and we're going to work together to solve it.
Is the issue, though, being overstated, I guess, is my question more specifically, by the incoming U.S. administration? And is there a danger in substantiating, that overstatement, if it's not based in fact?
People are dying of fentanyl overdoses every day in Alberta and in British Columbia and across the country. And we should take that seriously. And if it's a combination of factors coming in from the ports in BC or the products coming up from Mexico, I think we should take it seriously because it means that we'll be able to stop the deaths of our citizens too.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with any of that. The thing about the whole Trump temper tantrum is that it's not even the 25% tariff threat. I don't think that is ever going to happen anyway. It's not that. It's the attitude. Don't need to be doing it. Don't need to be threatening that. And that threat alone wasn't what set me off. It was the 51st state stuff. Repeated over and over again. Because it's not just him saying it. He's saying it now. But we've been hearing it from others with substantial influence over the past year and a half, maybe even longer. There's something more going on with all of it than just a joke. And it is an insult, and it is an affront to our sovereignty, and it is the President of the United States of America. Now, if that doesn't offend you as a Canadian, it's because you don't give a damn, I guess, about sovereignty. You don't care about your country. And just because you have a prime minister that isn't living up to his promises and is maybe not acting in the best interests of the country, it doesn't mean you give up on the country. Not if you love it the way I do. I love my country. And here we go. We're still talking about all this, like days and days after Okay, so Doug Ford, Ontario Premier, I got to take my hat off to Doug Ford, Conservative Premier, and I think he's giving it right back. Now, he's saying that Ontario, if necessary, if they really have to, as a last resort, would consider shutting off the power supply to the U.S. from Ontario. And we do provide a lot of real cheap energy to the United States. Line 5, okay? We have all the electricity from our nuclear power plants that pumps up into the eastern seaboard. Our electrical grid is tied right in with the U.S. electrical grid. It's all integrated. It all works together. And if they flip the switch and turn it off on the Ontario side, oh baby, a lot of lights going out. Millions of people, millions and millions. And I'll tell you this, it would not be out of line, frankly, to do it if Trump comes in and imposes an across-the-board 25% tariff on everything. On everything? Do you know what that means? I mean, like every single export leaving Canada to the United States, a 25% tax, which would make things prohibitively expensive in the U.S., anything coming from Canada. Now, I don't know how he's going to ever do that anyway. That's dual death. Death to the U.S. economy, death to our economy. It just inflates prices to a level that people simply would never be able to afford. He's just shooting himself in the foot, but at the same time doing incredible damage to us. Well, today, Doug Ford doubled down because this has some of the Americans that we've been talking to, they're like, well, it's probably going to be a good thing for you because it's going to unify your country and make you all work together, and it's going to make you work on the border, and that'll be a good thing. Yeah, well, maybe some of the outcome might be good, but did you really need to, start kicking people in the shins in order to do this, or pick a fight with us? Over what? This is escalatory on a scale that is really uncalled for. But anyway, it's not uniting us. It's not what's happening. So I'm sorry, my American friends. No, this is not uniting Canada. It's already creating division between our premiers and the equivalent of your state governors. Our premiers are just like they're of two minds on this. Take a tough stand like Doug Ford, or a more conciliatory diplomatic tack like Trudeau and Danielle Smith. I don't know. I think Doug Ford's taken the right approach in many respects because Trump's going to respect him. Even though you'll see, I'm going to show you that Trump actually is feigning indifference when in reality he's kind of not indifferent at all. He is, in fact, I would say, concerned now. I think Doug Ford definitely has Donald Trump's attention. And I think it's the right approach. Go in with strength. It's not like we're much smaller, so we are the smaller partner in this, and it is very dangerous for us, but so too is just bending over and taking 25%, where the sun don't shine. It's unacceptable. It would devastate the economy anyway, so you can either let him take a sledgehammer to you, or you can put up a shield and say, hey, wait a minute, you hurt us, we're going to hurt you back. So better respect us, because only then can we get to, really honestly, a proper place where a real agreement can take place. Here's Doug Ford doubling down on his position today.
All ages. We've got a number of questions about the topic of discussion over the last few days, and the idea of tariffs and counter tariffs on Ontario's part. One thing that has been discussed is the LCBO not buying American alcohol. Is that
Oh, we got
something
it,
that you're
okay.
considering? And would that, how far do you go with something like that?
Well, we'll use every tool in our toolbox as we put a tariff on bourbon last time. LCBO is one of the largest purchasers of alcohol in the entire world. But I'd prefer not to do any of this. I'd prefer to make a deal. As I mentioned, there's two areas that we can move this forward a lot quicker. Making sure we secure our borders is absolutely essential.
Sure.
And secondly, make sure that we hit our 2% commitment to NATO. We're about 1.4% right now, so we should be able to achieve both those goals fairly easily. And we just want to make a deal with the U.S. It was the first time President-elect Trump said, I want to make a deal with Canada.
Yeah.
That's good news. And with the energy
Right.
that I mentioned the other day, that's another tool. But would I rather send them energy, sell them more energy? Absolutely. I spoke to both governors from Michigan and New York. They fully understood where I was coming from. But again, my comment to the two governors yesterday, we want to sell you more energy. We want to make sure that we sign this deal. We want a fair trade. The problem, again, is not Ontario. It's not Canada. It's cheap Chinese parts coming in through Mexico, slapping Made in Mexico stickers on, taking American and Canadian jobs. That's their focus they should be focusing on, not their greatest ally and partner in the entire world.
Afternoon, Premier Elaine Harrison, CBC News.
Very true.
So sticking on that topic of energy, Trump responded to your energy threat yesterday saying, that's fine, go ahead and do it. What is your response to President-elect?
Well, what you didn't hear on the tapes after, he says, I really want to make a deal with Canada. That's the first time he's ever said that. And I respect the position he's coming from. And I'm sure he respects the position we're coming from.
Yep.
As he also mentioned, he has lots of friends in Canada. Well, we have lots of friends in the U.S. That's the reason we need to make a deal.
Right.
Because we're part of the family, the larger family. 900,000 Americans live up in Canada and 800,000 in the U.S. Canadians live down there. Millions of people cross the border every day. I was speaking to a congressman in Florida, and I just reminded him, Canadians own $90 billion with a B, $90 billion worth of real estate. 3.2 million visitors visit his state every single year from Canada, and they pay $1 billion in taxes. But every congressperson I speak to, or governor or senator, I'm not hearing the same thing as what I'm hearing from the president. So I'm hearing, let's get moving, let's make a deal and get this done. And we'll get through it. So there may be a few bumps in the road. We just have to be prepared.
And on the Team Canada approach, previously you said there was consensus among premiers on things like the need for a new bilateral trade deal with the U.S. or increases to defense spending, but other premiers this week have been disagreeing with you now on the best way to handle Trump, particularly the threat of retaliating by cutting off resources and energy supplies. Does it undermine Canada's position to have these disagreements on full public display? And why did you float that idea without talking to the others first to make sure you were speaking for the team?
Well, let's clarify what you just said. It was very clear that all premiers believe we should hit our 2% when it comes to NATO. So we're all in agreement. We're all in agreement, every one of us are in agreement that we have to tighten up the borders. Where we differ, I was speaking very clearly for Ontario, and I still speak for Ontario. I don't speak for the rest of the country. That's up to the premiers, and we'll be getting together this weekend on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. But, if it comes to Alberta or Quebec, that's their choice. They believe in diplomacy. Good luck. Alberta has a surplus of, $130 billion in oil and gas, and that's their, God bless them, good for them. And as for Quebec, I always support Quebec as well. But I'm talking about the electricity that powers 1.5 million homes and keeps companies and businesses open down in Michigan, down in New York, and over in Wisconsin. I was very, very clear on that.
Last reporter.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Premier Siobhan Morris, CTV News. Can you explain a little how the Ontario Core banner works?
Okay, that's the end of that issue in this. So, what do you think? What's the right approach? Should we just be super diplomatic and nicey and stroke Donald Trump, maybe let him annex Canada and turn it into the 51st state? Or is Doug Ford on the right track by taking a hard line? I'm going to look in the chat over here. Let's see here. What's going on in the chat? Who's over on Rumble? Jubilee, hello. Sad for Canada, yes. Michael 197722177 says serves Canada right. Maybe next time they will get their head out of their ASS and play their cards right on anything they do, but we all know they won't. Who else we got here? Jubilee says F Ford, Rick. Okay. And DC123 says Ford is a dick, and you know it, Rick. I wasn't happy with what he did during the pandemic, man. I didn't like the way he locked us down. I'll never forgive him for that. I'm not all in on all the things with Doug Ford, that's for sure. Rosemary Mack says Ford is just a windbag. And excuse me, DC123 says clean the country up and stop playing tough guys. It's that simple. Put your measuring sticks away, guys. Yeah, well, there you go. But just remember, it wasn't Doug Ford that started this, or Danielle Smith, or even Trudeau, for that matter. It was one guy. That's his approach, you know. It's just the way he operates. But I think you got to operate back that way with him, honestly. Now, some people think you have to stroke him, and that can work too, I guess. I think both approaches can actually work. I think we need a little self-respect when it comes to our national sovereignty. We are a country, and we have a right to exist. So take your 51st state and stick it. That's the issue for me. Don't sit there and mock our sovereignty or suggest, like, there was no respect for the border. He's talking about securing the border. He had no respect for the damn border. Trump has had no respect. It's like, we're going to do whatever we want to you. Yeah, well, I guess technically it could, because you're a nuclear superpower and we're just little guys. But like I said, we'll set up our bouncy castles and hot tubs and have a good protest if you try to annex this country. At least I will, anyway. And Dragon says he totally agrees with Ford. Yeah. And DC123 51st is a joke. Yeah, I'm not caving in. I'm sticking up for Canada, man. That's what it is for me. And the 25% tariff talk, that's all just bluster anyway. That's why you push back so hard on it, because there's no way he can do that. I know it would be devastating for Canada, but it would be bad for the U.S. too. Absolutely would be bad. Let me take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. I'm going to vet this call and find out what's going on, and we'll continue on the other side.
The information war is raging. Truth without integrity is worth nothing. Maverick News. Because those who have power and those who seek it must be held accountable.
The world is watching.
Join our family of truth seekers. Donate today and add your voice to the chorus of Maverick Knights. Donate at maverickdonations.com. Truth. Integrity. It's the Maverick way. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, we have a caller who's just phoned in. Maureen is back. Hello, Maureen. Welcome back.
Rick.
How are you tonight?
I'm good.
Good. So what's on your mind tonight? It's all Trump talk here and drones. But I guess you want to talk a little bit about the wall?
Yeah, the wall, I guess Biden's taking the wall down.
Yes.
Yeah, like a half a mile a day they're trucking out.
Yes, yeah, we showed some footage of that the other night, yeah.
So I think what Canada should do is buy the walls and then sell them when Trump gets in.
Sell it back
if he gets in, sell it back to Trump with a 25% tariff of his.
With it, yeah, mark it up 25%. You can buy it for $5. A section of that for $5.
Exactly, and sell it back to him.
Great idea. Here, Donald, you want to buy your wall? Yeah, he's going to build the wall and he's going to pay for it. He's going to buy it back. He paid for it, then Biden sold it for pennies on the dollar. We got each section for $5. We'll sell it back to you with I think we can mark it at more than 25%. Yeah, buy it up now. He's going to need that wall back. That's hilarious. That's a great idea. Canada buys the wall for $1.95 and sells it back to Trump. That is a fantastic idea. Never thought of it. Wow. Yeah.
So anyway, that's just my thought on the wall situation.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. It's just so typically dysfunctional of a democratic society where you have the political pendulum swinging back and forth, right? You have one guy get in, he wants to build a wall. Then the other guy gets in, he tears the wall down. Then the pendulum swings back and the other guy wants to build it, but the first guy's torn it down. He's now selling it off. That's funny. And it's just so typically American, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Well.
But anyways, that's my thought on the wall. That's what I would do if I was Trudeau.
Good. That's a great idea. Thank you, Maureen, for calling in tonight. You made me smile and laugh. All right, that's cool. Have a great night. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
That's actually funny. And it's true. They're auctioning. Biden is tearing the wall down and auctioning the sections off for as little as $5. That's just... Isn't that's it's just so stupid, the whole thing. Yeah, boy. It's like I said, this should be an episode of True Conspiracies tonight. Where was I here? Oh yeah. Here's I have the clip of Trump, actually, I think. I'm pretty sure I do. I did. Did you guys see Trump in his interview where he said, yeah, well, that's fine. It's no big deal. Oh, we've lost our clip. Hang on a second. I need to take another little hiatus and get this queued up.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
Okay. I've got this version of it here. I'll run this. This is actually a CNBC report with the Donald Trump clip incorporated into it, so it'll give you kind of a dual perspective. Yeah. Here we go. Yeah, you want to know how it's going to work? If Ontario retaliates, this is the deal.
Elect to talk to him about tariffs. Canada has been discussing this quite actively overnight with the president's proposed 25% tariffs. The Premier of Ontario has suggested that Canada might halt energy imports into the United States if the president goes ahead with his proposed tariffs. Here's the president's comment.
Well, that's okay if he does that. That's fine. But the United States is subsidizing Canada. It's truly a subsidy. And we shouldn't have to do that. And we have a great relationship. I have so many friends in Canada. But we shouldn't have to subsidize a country. And we're subsidizing them for more than $100 billion a year. And we shouldn't have to be doing that.
So there you hear the key point here. We are subsidizing Canada to the tune, according to the president-elect, $100 billion, and essentially emphasizing the transactional nature going on. Well, off-camera, he said to me, we hope we can work something out. So again, the emphasis is on the transactional part of this. But I can tell you here, I haven't seen so many people on the floor in a long time. People came from the other room that's there. We have, of course, the options room that's out there, the old Curb Exchange, the old American Exchange.
Yeah, so as Doug Ford indicated, though, let me get this down off the screen. Trump went on after that to say that he wants to make a deal. Now, I would say that, he does want to make a deal. He's not really serious about the 25% tariff. He used you think back, he used the same strategy to secure the border with Mexico. He threatened tariffs in order to get Mexico to stop the flow of immigration from Mexico into the U.S. He did it the first time he was in office. Now he's just taking that same page from his Art of the Deal playbook and he's applying it to Canada. But instead of but he went too far because he mocked our sovereignty. No. Not when you're the president. Not when you have that much power. You got to tell him, hey, we can have a trade negotiation and you can threaten tariffs. You can do all of that. But you damn well respect our country. You respect the fact that we have a right to exist. You don't threaten to take us over. You don't threaten to invade or annex or in any way disrespect the border, because that borderline is there for a reason. It's because Canada is its own sovereign nation state. Recognize it, respect it, or else. I don't know what the or else is, but or else, something. Okay, we'll shut the lights out. Whatever. It's the 51st state stuff for me. It's the 25% stuff, that's all bluster anyway. The other thing, you don't do that when you're the president. You don't do that when you're in to any neighboring nation, when you're the leader of a nation. It's really bad form. Totally out of line. No, not proper protocol. And I don't care. Like, people can sit there and say, "Oh, it's Donald Trump," and blah, blah. Yeah, I don't give a damn. It's my country. So back off, big guy. And then we can be friends again. What else do we have for you tonight? Oh, that healthcare CEO. Yeah. Man, that's such a strange case, isn't it? You've got this, the suspected shooters of the CEO, Luigi Mangione, and a defense fund has been set up for this guy by people who, I think they're almost like, I don't know, they're idolizing him in some way, or putting him up on a pedestal of some kind, because he murdered the CEO of a healthcare company. There's something twisted about it, and it's not right, in my view, at all. And I guess this guy Mangione, oh, hang on a second here, something wacky has gone on with, oh, for crying out loud. This computer has gone crazy. Sorry, guys, I'm going to have to figure out what happened here. There we go. Okay. My tabs got all messed up now because things got pulled into an area where they shouldn't have. There we go. Now we're back. You don't know what I'm talking about, but I do because I can see what's going on my computer screen in front of me while I'm trying to do the production. The clip I was going to run for you on a tab got backed off onto a different window. Now I have to find it again. There we go. This is Piers Morgan interviewing Peter Thiel, the billionaire. And I guess Mangione idolizes Elon Musk, Peter Thiel. And when asked about it, and about the response that many people, mostly I guess they're saying people on the conservative side who are celebrating Luigi Mangione, well, Peter Thiel seemed very much at a loss for words when asked about Mangione putting him, Peter Thiel, up on a pedestal, finding inspiration of some kind in him. So let's bring this up, and here's, hang on, yeah, here we go.
This healthcare executive was presiding over a healthcare system. And to those who think this shooter is a hero because he did it because he said this healthcare executive was presiding over a healthcare system which kills thousands of Americans by denying them cover, what would you say to them?
It's I don't know what to say. I think I still think you should try to make an argument, and I think this is you should, there may be things wrong with our healthcare system, but you have to make an argument, and you have to try to find a way to convince people and change it by that. And this is not going to work.
Pete,
and I don't know.
Yeah.
It's yeah. I mean, there are all sorts of things one could say about it, but I don't think, and I think I think the motives feel. I don't want to go into all the particulars here, but I don't think I don't think there's anything heroic about him.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything heroic about the guy either. But when people are exposed over a long period of time to the age-old oppressed versus the oppressor narrative, where corporations are demonized and the healthcare industry has been demonized to the point where people believe that everything that is produced by the pharmaceutical industry is going to kill you, and there are a lot of people out there who actually believe it to that level, then you get this kind of response. And it's not a proper perspective, folks. There are issues with the healthcare system. There are issues with some drugs, but not everything. It's gotten to the point where a lot of people just won't even go see a doctor when they get injured or get sick. And that's not that's not right either. Are there problems with the healthcare system? Yeah. But you have to have a proper perspective on things and maintain a grip on reality. There's some good things the doctors do, and sometimes doctors do stupid things too. That's why there's informed consent. That's why you need to advocate for yourself and take care of yourself too. Anyway, we can dig into all that more another day, but one thing is certain. However you feel about any of these issues, It doesn't justify what that guy did, ever. It just doesn't. There are other ways to deal with issues of crime or improper behavior or corruption or whatever it is that he thinks the evil was that, or may have thought that, whatever evil some people think is out there. There are ways to deal with it, but that's not how you do it. Ever. Ever. So Peter Thiel is, I don't know, that was a strange interview and a strange clip, but Thiel is obviously dialed in and understands that there's also a big level of mania out there surrounding all of this. We haven't really talked a whole lot about that case, the killer of the CEO. We also haven't spoken a whole lot about what's going on in Georgia, and we should be, because it is a huge story with protests there continuing for another day. Tens of thousands of people taking to the streets across cities, including Tbilisi. The demonstrations are in response to the Georgian Dream Party's decision to postpone EU membership talks until 2028, a move that has sparked widespread public anger and calls for new elections. This, folks, is very much like a replay of what happened in Ukraine, where you had basically a Putin puppet in Viktor Yanukovych in power in Ukraine, and even though the people voted for and were promised a move toward EU integration, Yanukovych refused to sign off on it, as he said he would, didn't do it, resulted in massive protests, and the people wanted to get rid of that guy, and he ended up fleeing to Moscow, just like Assad, for protection after hightailing it out of the country. Reports in Georgia indicate that the protesters there are demanding tonight democratic reforms, which has been the case for, while this has been going on, and the release of detained political activists and an end to what they perceive as state violence. The situation escalated when the prime minister there firmly rejected calls for earlier elections, intensifying the public's resolve to continue their demonstrations. Lots of evidence and lots of concerns about efforts there to undermine the electoral process and election integrity, democracy, and about Russian involvement and interference in the politics in the country there. There have been significant disruptions, including blocked major streets as a result of these protests and a general strike that has paralyzed parts of the major city there. The protests have attracted international attention, with figures like the president of France expressing support for the Georgian people's democratic aspirations. The U.S. has imposed visa restrictions on some of these Georgian officials accused of undermining democracy. And the atmosphere there is still tense tonight, with fears of a government escalation. And that's what happened in Ukraine as well, where ultimately the government under Yanukovych at the time attacked the protesters in the Maidan Square, shooting many of them and killing some of the protesters, a lot of the protesters in the Maidan demonstrations. Demonstrators have been seen carrying EU flags in Georgia, symbolizing their desire for a European future for Georgia. And what's it all about? Well, the concerns are about democracy being undermined in Georgia, which stems from a variety of reported actions. During elections, there have been numerous allegations of vote buying, which we also saw in Moldova. This happening because of Russian influence, Russian efforts to keep Georgia or bring Georgia back into the sphere of Russian influence. Georgia being one of those countries that has a long history of Russian domination. And in Georgia, we have these concerns about misuse of state resources and voter intimidation. The 2024 parliamentary elections were particularly noted for those issues, with international observers criticizing the process for lacking fairness. The ruling party, the Georgian Dream Party, was accused of using administrative resources to secure an electoral advantage, leading to an uneven playing field. In short, the election appears to have been rigged, and the Georgian government has passed laws that many view as contrary to democratic norms, such as legislation restricting freedom of the press and civil society, particularly laws modeled on Russia's foreign agent law. And those actions have been perceived as efforts to suppress dissent and control political narrative. There's been significant criticism regarding the independence of the judiciary as well. Reports of corruption, politically motivated judicial decisions, and the influence of oligarchic figures like Bidzina Ivanishvili have raised concerns about the integrity of Georgia's legal system. The U.S. has even sanctioned Georgian judges because of that. And there have been high-profile cases of political persecution, like that of the former president. There's been a noted decrease in media freedom, with journalists facing harassment, threats, and intimidation, particularly when covering opposition or the protests. And the space for civil society has also been squeezed, with NGOs and activists often under scrutiny or facing smear campaigns. The Georgian government's response to these protests, especially those against the foreign influence law, has been marked by violence and a heavy-handed approach. The use of force against peaceful demonstrators has been condemned internationally, with many countries and the EU imposing sanctions, of course, as I mentioned. And then you have this influence of oligarchs. They're seen as pulling the strings behind the scenes. And of course, you have all of this Russian influence, Russian money behind a lot of this. And the political landscape has become highly polarized, with the ruling party employing tactics that exclude opposition from meaningful participation in governance, such as through parliamentary boycotts or by manipulating electoral laws to maintain power. We have video tonight from the streets in Georgia. We're going to show you what's going on there. You talk about freedom, these people want it. They can smell it, they can taste it, they can feel it, and they're being denied. Here's some images. Thousands and thousands of people out protesting. And as you can see, I think we've got some video to go with this. Here we go. These have been going on for weeks, these protests. A lot of concerns about, public safety. Here we go. Here's somebody out there. Even seniors out on the streets, because they know what's at stake. They've lived through a lot. They know what the struggle for freedom is all about. Been through so much, especially in a place like Georgia. And yeah, the government there taking a heavy-handed approach, trying to suppress it. That's what it's all about, folks, and it reminds me so much of the Berlin Wall. You know, we thought that we turned a corner. We thought that it was the dawn of the end of the Cold War, really. Here's what that looked like. You know, it was back in, well, here, I'll show you. So I guess I'm getting old because I remember all this stuff. Not in 61. I wasn't quite alive yet. In 61, I have to pull the audio down on this because of the music. But yeah, let me show you. After World War II, right? You've got the fall of Nazi Germany, and Germany divided in two. German people trying to, here we go. Berlin in 1961. This was German people trying to escape the Berlin Wall before it was finishing in 1961. People trying to get past, trying to get out of the communist side of Berlin and to freedom before that wall was completed. Doing everything they could. I remember watching those videos over the years. And then the wall came down, and we thought, hey, it's the end of the Cold War. We've won. Freedom won. The West won. The United States won. No, not really. It just pushed communism, authoritarianism back on its heels, and what we really have going on today is not quite communism, and it's not really fascism. It's a combination of both. It is communo-fascism, or more to the point, what Putin and his favorite philosopher would refer to, they call it Eurasianism. And it's the dirty little secret that's right out in the open that people don't talk about because most people don't understand. They are buying into the whole, it's just NATO expansionism. That's what the issue. No, it's not. It's Eurasianism. And the authoritarian strategy and the strategy of deception that comes along with that from Putin and his favorite philosopher. We'll be talking about that in more detail in the nights ahead. But what this is really all about is there is an absolute agenda of expansionism coming from Russia. That's what Ukraine is all about. That's why they refuse to really even recognize Ukrainian sovereignty. They need Ukraine. It's a key to the whole thing. That's what the elections in Moldova and the Russian influence down there is all about. That's why the people are protesting tonight in Georgia. For all of you who think this is just about Ukraine, why are the people out protesting in the streets in Georgia? Why is it a carbon copy of what happened in Ukraine before we got the war there? Because it's exactly the same thing. Russian influence, Russian puppet installed. Putin didn't like it when his boy got into a position where the public didn't want him because he wasn't doing what they wanted. Yeah, I know it doesn't fit the little story that we've all been told because it's largely a lie. It is a lie. It's a total deception. It's not about NATO expansionism. It's about Russian and Russian Eurasianism, a philosophy, a political ideology that goes along with that, a strategy, a goal, an objective to create a not even so much a multipolar reality, even though that is what is being advocated for. It's really more about dividing the world in two, with the West on one side and Russia in a dominant position on the other, with its axis of resistance. And the BRICS. That's what's going on. The wall is being rebuilt. Why do you think they call it the BRICS? They're rebuilding the wall. Isn't it weird, too, that Trump is building a wall? Makes me wonder sometimes, are these walls being built to keep people out or being built to keep us in? What's the real game that's being played here? Who's being influenced by whom? Do these people have real integrity? I worry. I'm worried. But what's going on right now with Russia? Absolutely. The BRICS nations, that's an assault on the West. And I've been saying for a long time, a lot of you think the New World Order is us. How can we be the New World Order when we are already the World Order? We're the current World Order. It's not really us. Not at all. And they're telling you on the other side that it's them. They're even embracing the name. At the BRICS conferences, they've come right out and said that they are creating a new world order. Don't take my word for it. Just type it in. Just type in BRICS New World Order. It comes up all over the place. Headlines, media reports, quotes. That's what it is. You will own nothing and probably not be very happy, because one of the reasons you're not going to own anything is because when they're done with us, if they get their way, our economy will be completely dismantled, destroyed. The BRICS nations are an economic affront to Western capitalist free market systems. Even though their systems aren't really that much different. This isn't a resurgence of communism, though. Make no mistake. This is not communism. And it's not fascism in the regular sense of the word either. And I don't think most people even understand what those words mean. But what you're getting right now out of Russia and the BRICS nations, but especially Russia, and what you're getting from these Islamic nations that are aligned with Russia, is a new political ideology, a hybrid Eurasianism. It's an expansionist ideology, one that is predicated on the idea that expansion is an inherent need of any growing major nation state like Russia, that is geopolitically situated in a position of dominance simply because of where it's located. And as a result, as a natural progression, it needs to expand and absorb smaller states as though it's some sort of natural progression. It's not me saying this. This is all written. And unfortunately, folks, it's a bloody agenda that is behind the whole thing, with no regard for regular everyday people. It's all about the expansion of Russia and the greater glory of the nation state. It's a return to kind of where we were, with a different kind of ideology combining the worst of the worst. I can't believe that people are embracing this because they see it as some revolutionary path to utopia, when in reality, it's quite the opposite. It combines the two worst ideologies in the history of mankind, the deadliest, and brings them together in such a way that we are doomed to repeat history. That's why tonight I offer for you, as a closing remark, this video and song that we've been working on here for a while now. This is a tribute, really, to regular, everyday people, just acknowledging the sacrifices that ordinary, everyday people are making in the face of war and oppression. People who want freedom and are being denied. This starts with a look back at the fall of the Berlin Wall, when we thought we were achieving freedom. And for a while it looked like we turned the page, and somehow humanity let it all slip away. And this is about the bricks, another brick in the wall, being rebuilt by Vladimir Putin and the BRICS nations. An assault on freedom as they trample on the sovereignty of Ukraine. No respect. Won't even acknowledge that it really exists. The true existential threat is to Ukraine. Ukrainian culture, Ukrainian sovereignty as a nation, to the people there, and the children. We'll have more to say about it in the nights ahead. And I hope you take something of value away from this tonight. As I leave you with this, I will be back at 10 p.m. with Maverick Midnight Matinee and a special presentation. I'll be back at 10. And I'll be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern with a regular Maverick News broadcast. But right now, I leave you with another brick in the wall. Vladimir Putin's vision for the new world order. And the children are paying the price.
We watched the old wall crumble, we heard the freedom's call, but now it's rising higher under Putin's shadowed thrall. From Ukraine's fields to Moscow's streets, a cold divide begins to creep. A world of fear where truth is bent, and promises are sold too cheap. All in all, it's just another brick in the wall. All in all, we're calling Putin's fall. We don't need their blind instruction, we've seen the lies unfold. All in all, it's just another brick in the wall. He speaks of glory of days long past, where all would kneel before his cast. With tanks and threats he stakes his claim, while silencing those who dare to blame. Propaganda clouds the mind, we don't need no education. Blind to the bloodshed and the strife, where Putin's dreams cut deep like knives. Can't you hear the children cry? Can't you see the tanks roll by? In Putin's world where truth is broken, we're just pawns in the lies unspoken. A wall of fear, a wall of light, where freedom fades into the night. We stand upon the edge once more as Cold War ghosts return to life. They tell us not to question, to walk in shadowed lines. But we've seen the fall, we've felt the cold, we know the weight of all their crimes. Ukraine's cries, a world denied, a broken bridge that's left behind. In Putin's quest for power's throne, they're building walls we can't condone. All in all, it's just another brick in the wall. All in all, we're trapped within his thrall. We don't need their false direction, we see through the stories they've sold. All in all, it's just another brick in the wall. So they built like fists, for in our hearts where hope is strong, there's strength to fight against the wrong. But if we fall, if we concede, remember what the future needs. All in all, it's just another brick in the wall. So if we rise, if we resist, we break the walls they've built like fists. For in our hearts where hope is strong, there's strength to fight against the wrong. But if we fall, if we concede, remember what the future needs. All in all, it's just another brick in the wall.